Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to the Human Beauty Movement podcast, your source for hope, healing, happiness, and humanity. My name is Jennifer Norman. I'm the founder of the Human Beauty Movement and your host. This podcast is here to guide you on your journey of self-love, empowerment, soul alignment, and joy. With each episode, I invite beautiful humans from all corners of the globe to join me for open conversations about their life lessons and the important work that they are doing to help heal humankind. Take a moment now to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. I'm so glad you're here joining me for today's show. More people than ever are discovering that their health challenges aren't being fully addressed by conventional medicine, where prescriptions are being written to only treat symptoms and not the underlying root causes of their ailments. We are witnessing a conscious shift in understanding the full scope of well-being, arriving at holistic, self-empowering approaches that tap into our own body's healing potential. Today's guest, Dr. Sangeeta Pati, is living proof that embracing alternative medicine can lead to transformative, life-changing results. As a physician, educator, and pioneer in regenerative and integrative medicine, Dr. Pati turned to holistic healing after facing a series of personal health crises that traditional medicine couldn't resolve. Dr. Pati is the medical director of Glow Spring Health, where she has pioneered a comprehensive approach to health that has successfully reversed conditions in so many patients. She has also created MD Prescriptives, a line of high-quality supplements that support this holistic approach. Through her work, she has mentored thousands of healthcare professionals and empowered countless individuals to take charge of their own healing journeys. So, in today's episode, we are going to explore the power of self-healing and how you can tap into your body's innate ability to restore balance. Dr. Pati will share her actionable tips on how to reclaim your health, unlock your body's full potential, and embrace a more holistic approach to wellness. Keep listening to gain valuable insights into how to take control of your health, rise above conventional medicine's limitations, and discover the transformative power of regenerative healing. Whether you are navigating your own health journey or just curious about alternative medicine, this conversation is sure to inspire and empower you. Before we dive in, we want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, therapist, or other qualified health professional with any suggestions or questions you may have regarding a medical or mental health condition. Never disregard professional advice or delay seeking it because of something you hear on this podcast. If you're experiencing a crisis or if you need immediate support, please contact a healthcare professional or emergency services in your area. And so now that we've got that out of the way, I would like to give a warm welcome to Dr. Sangeeta Pati. Welcome, Dr. Pati.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel welcome.
I feel cymbals and bells ringing with your presence here today. I am so honored. I have read all about your journey into integrative and regenerative medicine and how it started with your own personal health crisis at about the age of 16. Please share with everybody what had happened and your upbringing and how you had a turning point that influenced your approach to healing.
I was born in the United States. I was educated and exposed to the American culture, European cultures. I went to school in many European countries and then finally ended up in an all-girls British boarding school in the middle of the desert in India.
Wow.
I'm a dancer, a singer, an artist, and a competitive athlete. In that pursuit, I had to take a cholera shot when I was 16 years old in order to enter the national 200-meter sprint and compete in India. With that vaccination, I developed encephalopathic coma and liver failure. And I ended up in a wheelchair and recovery for 6 months and really for almost 12 months.
Wow.
And it was that experience that was a miraculous healing. I realized that maybe healing and the healing arts was a possibility for me. And of course, the culture I came from was a culture in which people generally allow you to be doctor, lawyer, and Indian chief. So it was suiting my family very well. But I would say that that healing was fully miraculous. I actually saw a framed picture of Jesus Christ above my bed when I woke up, and there wasn't one. And I kept asking for it, but there wasn't one.
Oh.
And I'm brought up a complete Hindu. So just to imagine, like,
Wow,
what happened there. And that is a form of alternate healing, of course, that we do or don't believe in. But there was no chance I was going to survive. I was going for a liver transplant the day after I woke up. So I came back to the United States, became educated through the system, and studied computer science, electrical engineering, worked at NASA, worked at NIH as a researcher, and finally got my medical degree at University of Maryland and went to Georgetown, like you, for my training in obstetrics. And as expected, I opened up my practice in Washington, D.C. I joined a practice of 5 women who were amazing, and realized that I wanted something more. And the more was something more than seeing people for 7 minutes and handing out drugs and doing surgery. So I took my daughter, I was a single mother, and a big German Shepherd, and moved us to New York to join a nonprofit organization that works to reduce maternal mortality in the world. So I, as the medical director, I got to work by foot in Latin America, all through countries in Africa and Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Thailand, just all over the world. And I had the blessing of working with traditional birth attendants. And it opened my eyes because they had a much wider toolbox of options than pharmacy and surgery. And they had great results. And I studied that for a little bit because I realized that really the belief that they had in the training they got from their grandmothers and great-grandmothers, and the belief that the people had in them made a big difference. The belief, we call it placebo, but placebo is our belief system matters. So I came back and I pretty much quit practice that I was going to join. And I hate to say the word quit, but I relieved myself of that and floated around and went to a psychic and borrowed money from a bank to survive because I didn't exactly know what I was going to do. And I was lucky enough to get invited into some Mind, Body, Spirit conference and then some conference called American College of Anti-Aging Medicine. And I ended up becoming faculty. When I entered the field of integrative medicine, I was really lucky because I only had 5 patients the first month because nobody knew me in Orlando and I wasn't an OBGYN necessarily. I hung up my shingle and I had 5 patients, but I didn't know what I was doing. So it was great because I had almost 1 week per patient to read, to call colleagues, to call the compounding pharmacy, to figure out how to make things work. Because the field is very complicated. Lots of supplements, lots of treatments, diagnostics. And I'm somebody who's always looking for the drop that makes the ripple that has a big effect. So I developed a pillar system, which we call the 5-point model system, which is basic: hormones, nutrition, detoxification, mind and body, and really empowered people and inspired people with hope to start somewhere and do one thing and create that ripple in their body that would help turn on innate self-healing. And through the journey, I had several other near-death experiences, and each one taught me something. But that's really how I got into the journey of integrative medicine, which is what you asked. And also then now further that journey from teaching physicians to actually just educating the public, because the tools are so simple. They're free. They're accessible to all. And we didn't need science to know that sunlight works and the earth works, but it's nice. There's thousands of studies that also show that. So now and studies show, but whereas that we know we didn't need that to know that nature had the answers.
Wow. I have so many questions. First of all, thank you so much for giving that wonderful recap of your journey from childhood and your experience and all that you went through to come to where you are today. today. I'm curious, going back to that cholera vaccination, did that turn you off of vaccines after that? Or did you have this thought that, okay, it was my body that reacted to this vaccine, and it's not that I'm vilifying all vaccines, but I'm just curious, did that have any impact?
It's a really good question. When I received that vaccine, I was already very clear that there was something wrong because the needle was a reusable needle and it was rusted. And I could see it at the base, but I didn't react quickly enough to not get it. And I also can't remember well, but I think I actually fainted after that
my gosh.
episode. And obviously you have a certain level of trauma that keeps you from doing vaccinations. But if you're asking me about vaccinations in general, I would say that we have some that are well studied and some that we really have not studied well. For example, the COVID vaccine. We know that we haven't studied it well enough to make good sentences about it, right?
Sure.
So that's my overall impression of it. And I also believe that there's something to be said for our immune system and giving our immune system more of a chance than we do. Because we went from giving 7 vaccinations to giving 30 vaccinations because somewhere in there's some middle ground, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And from what I'll call your nomadic experience of going around the world and being, yeah. And it's so beautiful. I mean, it sounds like really very romantic about just being at the ground level, witnessing these beautiful moments. And I contrasted that when you were painting this picture of what it was like and all the learnings that you had and all of those experiences. I was thinking back to the time when I gave birth to my son, like one of the best hospitals here in Los Angeles, Cedars-Sinai. I mean, top, one of the best hospitals in the world. And I had all of these romantic, idyllic thoughts about what it would be like to give birth to my son. And then I was very taken aback by the reality of the experience and how sterile it was. And I was like, this isn't the birthing experience I really had in my head, but it was what it was. And I guess if you're wealthy enough, you can pay for a deluxe suite and have a little bit of a more comfortable experience. But for what it was, I was like, I don't know if this was really like, it did not feel natural. It felt very medicinal and cold and sterile. That's really what I can say about it.
Yeah.
And I think that let's just give it up for women's bodies, first of all. I give it up for men's bodies too, but the women's body is just so extraordinary. And I just had so much more profound appreciation for my body that could grow a baby, give birth to a baby, feed the baby, nourish and nurture the baby, like all of the things that women's bodies do. I was like, wow, we are just priceless.
Yes. Despite being treated like a medical disease, right?
I know.
We have made it a medical disease and taken away complete power of women. If you look at even the birthing position that we have, my eyes were so opened up when I traveled to some of these areas in the mountains.
Can
11
you say
days
more about
walk.
that? I want to just, if there's any stories or anything that you can just
some
express.
of these places were literally like in Nepal, you'd go and you'd be walking for days on end. I always had a team with me, but we still had to walk days on end. And you get to somewhere where they've heard a doctor is coming, and whether it is a doctor is coming, and all of a sudden they shift their attention to the fact that there's an external medical source, which everybody has been taught, even down to the village, that might be better. That's more modern. But when you sink in and you sit there for a little while, you start to see these women, they know how to go through pregnancy. They know how to birth. They know how to take care of their bodies after birth. They are helped by generations of wisdom. That's something we've completely lost, right? We're learning how to potty train our kids from Dr. Google. So it was very eye-opening for me. And really from the personal woman's side, when I had my baby, I felt extremely disempowered. I never even thought about empowering. It was not in the question for me. I was a single mother and I was like going through the motions. And now there's such a movement and so much energy of transformation around the birthing experience and keeping our power as women, because that womb is the central energy of power for women. So is the heart, but it's the womb and the heart. And we, even when we're not having babies, we need to nurture these two things. And that whole concept for me woke up when I started to travel and started to see what was going on, because the push was get all these villagers to go to the hospital. They don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to even see a doctor. I don't even want to see a doctor.
Oh.
For the last 20 years, I've been seeing a shaman in Tulum who happens to now be in the spiritual world. But I feel like there's a disempowerment in the word itself, in the concept that we've painted, and we're claiming it back. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. It must have been so eye-opening too, to have gone through traditional training and all of that with the OBGYN and what you've learned, and then also be struck with, this is really what is natural and this is how it had been. And integrative medicine is truly the integrating of these things so that we can come to a more holistic approach. I'm curious what your thoughts are too. If we think about how the modern day and age has had its impact on humankind, it seems like we complicate things. It seems like we're poisoning ourselves. It seems like we're doing a whole heck of a lot to make things worse for our physical nature as well as our spiritual nature. How do you help people to come back to their true selves and to really reintegrate with wellness from your standpoint?
Good question. So I consider what humanity is going through right now as somewhat of a near-death experience, one from which we will wake up much more empowered and enlightened in mind, body, and soul. And because we are where we are right now, and when we talk about holistic, integrative, we're really talking about reconnecting and reclaiming past wisdom, which always was and always will be. And in the middle, we have this blurry thing called our medical system. And that blurry thing is now coming into focus because of many things that have happened over the last couple of decades, and people are looking to take their power back. So when we see people, they've already walked through the journey of, hey, you know what? There's more than pharmacy and surgery. There's other tools, and I want to be able to choose from all of them. I don't want to be told there's only this option and that option. And both options are just feeding a large corporate pharmaceutical industry, if you will. Not that pharmacy and surgery aren't important. I use them myself sometimes. They are the advances. But when we outlawed all the rest of them, which we did in the 1900s, we put ourselves in a position of great disadvantage. And the clear-cut example of that is that if you look at the gross national product that we spend, it's fourfold higher than any other country. And we're ranking 35th to 45th and below in our health indices and our longevity. Whereas countries like Denmark and Spain and France and Korea and Japan and places where they're spending way less, they're living longer and have better health indices. So what are they doing different? So that takes me to what you said. What is it about modern living? And modern living is truly man's greatest disease, the way we live, because our nervous systems are disconnected from the natural rhythm of life and the planet. So we are out of sync, and most people feel it. So helping people on this journey, it's like when I have conversations, it's so funny because it's almost like just reminding people of what they know. Like, hey, you have the power to heal yourself. Do you believe that you can heal yourself? We can guide you with simple tools and tricks. I really hope to guide you for 90 days and not have you see me after that. But I think that people are already there. And the big opportunity that I saw when I was seeing people in an integrative practice, which I still do, and also teaching doctors, is that none of those two methods reach the masses. Because even an integrative natural doctor is still too expensive for most people to use. And that's a fact. And so I just felt like if I'm going to teach, I would like to teach in a way that can have a larger ripple effect. And that's why I'm so grateful to people like you, because when I started off and shifted a year and a half ago, my daughter goes, well, what are you going to do? You don't have any audience out there. And I said, well, it's okay. I believe that energetics, even if you sat on your toilet seat and put it out there, it would get out there. But now I'm actually being invited to speak on some podcasts. Feel like more people will have access to this. And this message I have is not something that's very unique to me. If you look around the world and you look at all the healthcare providers that are starting to recognize that all of us are doctors, basically. We all are empowered with healing capacity beyond our wildest imagination that has completely been suppressed from childhood. And people are waking up to that. So how do I inspire and how do I integrate it for people who are coming in? They're already there. They just needed to hear exactly what I said, that we're reclaiming our power. We're going to empower you with tools, choose what resonates, one thing at a time, do what it is that really speaks to you and is easy, not what is hard and not a whole laundry list. And that's what people want to hear. They just want to have hope. So if you can inspire hope, you're done.
Yeah.
You inspire hope, then they can take the guidance from it.
Yeah. I remember when my son was 2 years old and he was diagnosed with a very rare mitochondrial disorder at the hospital. The doctors gave him the bleakest prognosis and said, you got to make a decision. And it was only until we, through some miracle, stumbled across a doctor who was quite unique, who was pretty much one that had a lot of experience with mitochondrial disorders, and getting on the phone with him and hearing him say, it's not a death sentence. Your son can have a normal life. We just need to tweak something. I mean, it was the only ray of hope that I had heard. And it was the only ray of hope that I needed to know that it was possible. And it really, and the belief, rather than this feeling of hopelessness, like there's no solutions, it was so eye-opening what doctors can do with the words that they use in being able to just tear you down to the ground or giving you that belief that there is light and that there is hope. It makes a life and death difference. I can tell you that from my own experience. And I know that you just talked about the placebo effect earlier and about how important belief systems and mindset is in this work. It's interesting because in my own spiritual journey, I've come across people who claim to be healers. And I always kind of caution out of my own, it's that like, I don't need to necessarily go to somebody to have that person heal me. I go to that person so that we can connect and maybe like have that reinforced vibration that I heal myself. And if that person comes to me and says, I'm a healer and I can heal you, run away. Like run very, very far away. That's like a telltale sign.
The new world has you healing yourself. And your words are your spell.
Yeah, that's
your words
magic,
are your
they
spell.
Cast spell. That's why it's called spelling.
It's like what we say is so powerful. What we think is even more powerful. And I always refer to the heart as the sword.
Ooh.
And that's an interesting connection. I'm like, the words are the spell, the thoughts are the magic, but the heart is your sword. Because when you love, you will pick up that sword.
Wow. More and more people are becoming conscious of longevity and the modern lifestyle, which through four walls, air conditioning, fake lighting, we get our circadian rhythms are all messed up, drinking, eating all of these processed foods and drinks and beverages, a lot of the things that we are doing to the point of just creating more illness and disease in our lives. People are saying, you know what, I am looking to have a better outcome now. What can I do to live longer? How can I biohack? A lot of people are looking for quick solutions or ways to find Centaurian life. Your work journeyed you and caused you to really look at the blue zones as being models of longevity, and also had perhaps had an impact on your 5-point model and maybe even your supplements. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, thank you. I love talking about that. I was referring to the fact that in integrative medicine, there's so many different avenues that I was always looking for the drop that created the ripple, and developed a system. I started in hormones because, of course, hormones, I was a gynecologist. Suzanne Summers had just written a book about bioidentical hormones. I read it and I started to really decipher the hormones and realized that the hormone was one piece of it, and that the hormones really, it's not about the sex hormones. It's about the adrenal and the thyroid, which is, I'm making this symbol because it's like a pyramid. It has 3 layers, the adrenals on the bottom, the thyroid's in the middle, the ovaries on top. And if we are in a chronic stress response, which is what modern living does, we knock out the adrenal thyroid. So automatically the ovary goes also. And so I realized the ovarian hormones were really the tip of the iceberg and reflected what was really going on underneath.
Interesting.
So that was the hormones. And then I realized that there's another pillar, which is the nutrition. And you know that none of the medical schools teach nutrition. So I had to start learning, and of course realized that food is the biggest packaged properly, like vitamin C with the bioflavonoids in the orange. And yet, at the same time, with the depletion in our soil, the University of Texas even says that basically you have to eat 8 oranges to get what you got in 1 orange.
Oh.
So I started doing thousands and thousands of tests. I ran nutritional tests on every single person that came through the door. And the eye-opener was that healthy diet did not mean optimal nutrition. And I use the word optimal really deliberately because it's not about being in a normal range. It's about being in that optimal range. It's going to protect immune system, metabolism, energy, bone, brain, heart, vascular system, skin, and everything, right? So I noticed a pattern. There was a pattern of deficiency that pretty much always required 25 to 50 of zinc, 200 to 400 of selenium, 500 to 1,000 of chromium, same of iodine, and active B vitamins. So I started to add that to the regimen, and people were so much better, but they were on 5 different bottles of stuff.
Yeah.
And my ripple effect was not happening.
Oh.
So I went out into the world and I was like, we need to put this in 1 bottle. And nobody would really do it for me. So even though I'm a doctor and I really wasn't planning on making supplements, I realized that if I took the preservatives, the dyes, the fillers, and the magsteurate out, I could fit it all in 1 bottle. And that was the beginning of the MD Prescriptive Supplement Company. So that was the second bubble, which was nutrition. And then after that, I learned about detoxification. And I started to realize that the most powerful detoxification is really pink salt and lemon in 100 ounces of water or coconut water. It flushes the body and the pH comes up and it drags out all the toxins. So there's a lot of complicated detoxes people can do, but this is the simplest one. Like every day, just make sure you're getting enough water with the electrolytes in it. So that was the third bubble. Then the fourth one was oxygenation, deoxygenation of the body, mainly not only because it improves the oxygen in all your cells, but also because it reconnects the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic being the fight or flight, which is always too active. It brings it, balances it so that the vagus nerve can rest, digest, repair your genes. Also because it connects the subconscious and the conscious. So that was 4 areas. And the 5th one was heart, mind, stress. And heart, mind, stress is the driver in our society of the collapse of our health because our nervous systems are continuously in a state of a chronic stress response. And it's not only about whether you had a stressor in your life or a hurricane hit your house.
Yeah.
The Heart Math Institute has proven that if there's chaos in any part of this planet that's hitting the human heart, in any part of this planet, it's hitting every heart in all parts this planet because we are electrical beings and our heart field is going 12 to 15 feet outside of us and interacting with the Schumann resonance of the earth. So basically anything anywhere affects everyone everywhere. And so I found that to be the most important. So there were 5 areas: hormones, nutrition, detoxification, mind, and body, right? Did that. 85% of people reversed their conditions, taught that to doctors, had a quarter of my patients were physicians and their families. And then people started walking in the door with their children. And I realized that our model was completely unsustainable because you have a mother and a father in a program like ours. And then how do you accommodate the children? How are they going to afford that? I had a very good blessing happen at that time. I had complete adrenal burnout. I was flat on my back for 4 months.
It's so wonderful that you call it a blessing because so many people would be like, that's a disaster, but it's a blessing.
It was a total blessing,
total blessing.
Because what I did, my daughter was at school in Costa Rica. I came to Costa Rica and I started to realize that the blue zones weren't about what are they eating, how much exercise they did, because those are the things you hear about.
Yes, yes.
But what I realized, it was a way of life connected to the 5 elements. The sun, rising sun, cortisol response, it charges the battery of the water. So it turns out we're plants. We can make energy from the sun. That's proven now. We didn't need science to tell us that, but it's nice to be able to say it's now proven.
Yeah.
Grounding our feet into the earth. So connection to earth immediately unclots your blood and immediately changes the inflammatory response from red to green.
And
structured
serotonin,
water.
right? Serotonin is...
Yes.
Yes.
100%. I mean, it's the most underutilized gift that all of us have, just putting our feet in the ground. Because we collect the energy of the house every day. We have shoes on, we have Wi-Fi. As soon as we put our body in there, the positive and the negative balances out and it releases the electromagnetic field we're carrying. So earth connection. The next one was structured water, which structured water can come from a stream, but can also come from a cup, which you bless with your intention. And that's one of the reasons why at MD Prescriptives, we actually bless every batch before releasing it.
I haven't heard of that term before, structured water. I've heard of people blessing or like creating intentions out of their water and then drinking to get like a crystal, like they say that it changes the structure of the crystalline.
It does. It does. And structure determines function.
Uh-huh.
So if the water's structured like this, it has one effect on your cell. And if it's structured like that, it has a different effect on your cell.
I'm going to have to put the link to that person who did the book on...
Masaru Emoto.
Was that? Yes. I'll have to put that where he showed the ice, the water structure of like somebody that was told ugly or somebody that was told beautiful, and just seeing what the difference is and how the words actually impacted. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
That's where the words and the thoughts are our spell. They're our magic. They're our spell. And then they just breathe deeper because they lead slower lives. And the most important one was the fifth bubble again. Joyful purpose, connected to tribe, balanced life, connected to nature. Boom, done. And you don't have to live in a place like Costa Rica in order to have that. Once you realize what the elements are of true healing, the power that we have, the gifts that we have access to, you can do that anywhere.
Wow.
So that's the 5-point model that turned into the 5-element system.
Yeah, there is a book that was written recently called The Comfort Crisis. And I think because modern living, industrialization, it's always like, well, let me save you time. Let me make life easier for you. But in so doing that, we start becoming so much more sedentary. We start not appreciating the natural rhythms and doing hard work, like the physical walking up the stairs. We'd rather take an elevator or an escalator. All of those things that we would otherwise have done in previous states of humanity, we've gotten away from. And it really has caused us to have really, really disturbed our own natural biorhythms and things that are happening. So getting back to a lifestyle that I know, like maybe it started shortly after industrialization where it became vilified, like, oh, look at those countries that the people are just so lazy. They take long lunches, they sit in the sun. And so they were often poo-pooed because they weren't as productive as other societies, which were perhaps richer cultures, societies, what have you. But I think that we've come and turned a corner and we're realizing, what are our priorities in life? What does really light me up? Why am I working so hard? We're coming to this reckoning, like you said, the near-death experience.
Yes, it's a reckoning, and it is what lights me up, because when each of us follows what lights each of us up, we're able to light the world with that heat.
Yes. And speaking of that, tell us about Take My Power Back, your initiative that helps to empower individuals to take control of your health. I want you to just share with everybody what it's about, because I think it's just amazing.
So I, of course, was led to that journey a few years ago. Actually, way before COVID, I started to become very aware that the system that we were using didn't work and that the 5-element system was more powerful. And I started to condense the rest of my things into protocols that had 1 or 2 supplements in it, but mostly it was about breathing, grounding, all of these, like protocols for healthy gut, protocols for vibrant energy, protocols for restorative sleep. And I sat there with that. And I trained a lot of coaches and they used it. And a couple of years ago, I realized that I wanted to really share that with the world. So I launched an Instagram channel. And in the beginning, I would be filming with half my face showing and one eye and all of this. But basically, the aim of Take My Power Back initiative is to help to empower you to be in the driver's seat for your own health, your own wealth, your own life, your own energy, your own food. It's a state which all of us feel. And all of us are becoming aware more and more as a humanity that we've given our power away. So on that channel, I share a lot of simple tips. Right now, I launched it last year and it was focused around health, but I hope to interview a lot of people as soon as I start to figure out how to do more interviews. I want to interview you because each person has a story of a place where they took their power back. And you actually told me your story. And those are the things that give the hope to humans. And hope is, to me, a spark, which is really critical for the next phase, rather than thinking, oh, the world's coming to an end, it's terrible, it's exactly the opposite. It's like, it's from this that you go back.
Yeah.
And I love to empower the youth by telling them that, like, you know what? You're really fortunate to be here at this time on this earth because you are going to steward this and we are going to pave a path and facilitate in any way possible. And that's for me, like my mission now. I figured the only thing I want to do with my life right now is to spend all my time and energy in leaving something better behind that allows that transformation.
That's beautiful. I love that because I think a lot of people get so downtrodden when they think about the medical industry and insurance and the fact that a lot of people, if they do feel unwell, then they're like, oh, I don't even want to go to the doctor. It's such a pain in the butt. It's going to cost so much. It doesn't, was my insurance going to cover it? And with integrated medicine, I think that a lot of insurance companies probably don't, or policies don't cover it. And so having an educational arm and to be able to say, you know what, this is something that doesn't really cost a lot. It's like these things that you can do to make some adjustments to your lifestyle, not only yours, but your family's lifestyle so that they can start young and just have these habits created at an early age so that it just becomes the way that they know how to live. And that they would be like horrified to say like, well, I won't, eat that purple candy or whatever, artificial dyes are in that and whatnot.
It's coming back to our roots and our instincts as a human race. And it's happening. Yes, it's happening. And it's a cultural way of life that we established when we veered from nature's rhythm, starting with the calendar, which I won't go there right now.
But there's a whole lot.
Basically, we were off the calendar, right? So all of a sudden, all of our activities are not in sync with nature. And we are all going back to that. And I can feel it. I feel movement. It's a renaissance. It's not, a few people know about this. Everybody's feeling this. Everybody is feeling this inside, that we have this opportunity to be way happier, way better, and live much easier lives to really thrive. And thriving isn't just in health. Thriving is mind, body, spirit, tribe, ecosystem, connection. When Harvard did a study to find out what things affect mortality, they identified exercise, diet, but the most powerful one was social isolation. We're all isolated. Like that ends up being
the loneliness epidemic.
Risk factor for everything. So I feel that,
we've gotten away from our tribes, from our sense of community. I think that a lot of it has also been like the fear that has been put into the media of you've got to be careful to who your kids are playing with, or is it too late? There might be somebody down the street. And so we've disconnected and we've isolated ourselves because of this notion of fear that has been spreading. And I think that there's just so many things that have been wrong with this idea of like spiking cortisol, trying to grab attention, a lot of things. And with respect to how media works and how modern society works, it's like with medicine, it's a business. And so how are we going to keep them hooked on this certain GLP-1 or whatever it might be in order to like continue capitalizing on this problem? We're never really going to fix or heal the problem. We're just going to give you something to prolong the extent to which I can make money off of your problem.
Yes, exactly.
But so if you could cast your spell with your words, Dr. Pati, and look into the future, what would be your wish for how the healthcare system might evolve, or how integrative, regenerative, and alternative therapies might evolve alongside conventional medicine?
It's a grassroots organic movement that's happening to take power back.
Mm.
It's the people that are looking for answers beyond pharmacy and surgery that are driving this.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got Suzanne Summers' book and realized that there were people out there. So I feel like people realizing that they have the power to question what's being told to them and to look for more answers and to look for more options and operate from love and not fear. I feel that is the drop that will create the ripple in our cells, in our tribe, in our communities, in our ecosystems, in our world. And that root is igniting our hearts with the healer within. So it might be a little bit fuzzy, but I feel that the system will automatically shape. And yes, there will be need for some medical care and use of advanced technology, but we at least have to get ourselves to where other countries are spending 4 times less than us and having better lifespans. Yeah. And that has nothing to do with the medical system. It has to do with the cultural mentality that we have and the pedestal on which we put the doctors and the lack of care which we're willing to do for ourselves. Like if we want to get well and we want to do it a certain way, we have to have enough belief in our abilities to find the right route and to trust the route, because the trust we have in the route is more important than the route itself.
Yeah. I think some of the most empowering words that I've heard, which have been pretty much my mantra for almost life going, for the past several years, is like, everything always works out for me. Everything always goes my way. And that goes for our own sense of self, our empowerment, our feeling of well-being, our relationships. Even if you are going through adrenal failure, even if you are going through really, really dark nights of the soul, it's like saying thank you. Saying thank you, as I know that you've read and that you've taken on that mantra as well. It's like these things are blessings to allow us to wake up and see the contrast in how good we truly have it, and being able to know that we have everything that we need within us. It's just the wisdom to really understand and get in tune with your own body.
Yes. It's an opportunity to evolve. So the distinction between good and bad is only seen as one when you realize that both are opportunities to evolve. Absolutely. And we are trained to think that this one is better than that one, but they both are opportunities to evolve. We can look at it like that. Thank you is exactly appropriate. It's like, oh, I have a air leak in my tire. Thank you. The dog is...
I know people will think you're insane, but
yes, they do. They do think I'm insane. Actually think I'm insane because I actually really do that. Like 3 days ago, I had no dogs, and right now I have 3 dogs. They appeared on the mountain where I am, and they won't go anywhere. And the landlady is trying to kick me out because I'm going to get here with dogs. I'm not sure. But I'm like, thank you. Thank you,
dogs. Aw, send them to me. I'll take them. I love dogs.
Yes, me too.
Dr. Pati, I feel like I could talk to you all day. I want everybody to know that you do have a website for your supplements, which is MD Prescriptives. You are the medical director of Glow Spring Health. So definitely look that up, as well as the Instagram account, Take My Power Back _initiative. Thank you so much for being my guest. I would love to have you back on at some point so that we can talk about so many more things.
Yes. Keep going a little deeper and deeper, but thank you for spreading the word about your story, which is very powerful, and then taking it up as a cause to educate people and give them hope.
Oh,
that's what you're doing.
You're my ikigai.
Yes. It's your ikigai. Yes. Without that ikigai, without that joyful purpose, the body has no reason to stick around.
Oh, well, I'm glad that we're sticking around. And until next time, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for being a beautiful human.
Thank you so much. You take care. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you for listening to the Human Beauty Movement podcast. Be sure to follow, rate, and review us wherever you stream podcasts. The Human Beauty Movement is a community-based platform that cultivates the beauty of humankind. Check out our workshops, find us on social media, and share our inspiration with all the beautiful humans in your life. Learn more at thehumanbeautymovement.com. Thank you so much for being a beautiful human.